Yeah, the problem is, Jeremiah, I think we impressed recruits on the offensive side of the ball. And don't get me wrong, I want offensive players to come here. But if you had to ask me right now, like if the next 5 players had to be offense or defense, um, I would probably want defense because I think the offense Stark is such a good play caller. And by the way, outcoached the hell out of Lincoln Riley on the offensive side of the ball in the first half. Obviously he didn't in the second half, but the play calls he had in the first half were insane. Some of those plays, I know the little short handoff to Whittington. I love that play. I love the little handoff to Worthy where Bijan and Casey hit each other. But he did a great job calling the plays. And I think uh, people on offense will naturally just want to come here. We're gonna have to start convincing guys on defense to come here, and hopefully that happens. Hopefully we can get like a Harold Perkins or something like that. But it's hard, man. Like the defense, other than Tom Herman's first year, has been bad at Texas for a decade. Like that Texas defense in 2000, I believe. What was his first year? 16, 17. I forget again. Bad with years. But it was Tom Herman's first year, and that team was a top 25 defense with Malik Jefferson in the middle. That guy was insane at middle linebacker. And our secondary was pretty good as well with Holton Hill and Chris Boyd. But after that and before that, not very good. We've had players, but we haven't had a complete unit on the defensive side of the ball. 2016-13 was close. Yeah, but Michigan thinking you'll win doesn't mean anything. So you had 2 close games in the past 10 years. I'm not trying to offend you like Ohio State. I'm actually giving you a compliment. You've made this not a rivalry. You've kicked their ass, dude. Like I don't know what to say. Michigan needs to improve their level of play, at least in that game. That's another thing too. I have a Michigan friend who basically said, and I've heard this from multiple people. Ohio State, especially when Urban Meyer came there, treated this like life or death. They hung it everywhere, beat Michigan, countdown clock and stuff like that. Michigan didn't start doing that till this year, so they haven't been taking this game as seriously as they need to be. Whereas I think Texas and Oklahoma have always taken this game seriously. And I'll also say playing this game at the end of the year, Michigan tends to just never get better. They kind of just play the same the whole year, whereas Ohio State usually gets better throughout the year, in my opinion. Because to be honest with you, I think they have a better coach and they have a system that allows for you to get better. Whereas Jim Harbaugh's like smash mouth football and run, so your quarterback really never gets put in any important positions. And I think if the game was played, especially this year, I think Michigan would have a shot if they would have played the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. By the time you guys are already starting to get it rolling, you guys will beat them by 2 touchdowns. Uh, yes, Lucas. I actually think we had a. I don't know if this was they said this right. 140 recruits at the game for Texas, which total I believe that. I don't know if you're allowed to have them. I don't know the rules on that. So if that's true, that Texas by itself had 90, that's insane. I know they had a lot of big names like Devin Campbell, Evan Stewart, and Harold Perkins, and obviously Brennan Thompson just committed speedster out of Spearman, I believe, Texas, which is up by the Panhandle, actually closer to Oklahoma. He was thinking about going to Oklahoma State, but he's like an Xavier Worthy type mold just committed. He was there as well. So that'll be interesting. I'm gonna have to look after the game or after this and see how many recruits we actually did have here. Obviously, we know it's a big showcase. Next week for Texas, even bigger showcase. Arch Manning in town, Evan Stewart, a bunch of recruits. So it's very important to look at that game and win that game. 100%. 100%. Roberto. Let's get to the super chat. Okay, Jeremiah. Thank you for the super chat. Let's get this up there. We need defense so bad. PK is frustrated without a doubt with the coverage. Yeah, especially with the guy like him, because like I said, he's put plenty of guys in the NFL, Buda Baker, Byron Murphy, guys like that. So they need secondary help badly. Hopefully someone like even Terrence Brooks. I know he's committed to Ohio State right now, but I know the commitment is going on. Like Texas is coming hard after him. If we could get someone like that, I think realistically we're more in play for Denver Harris for sure. I think it's going to be either Bama or us. So we need someone like that because that's someone like Akili Ringo who's at Georgia who would have come here if they didn't sprinkle a little bag money in the Southeast, which we should do too. I'm not complaining. Like every big time college football program seems to do that, except Texas wants to play on this moral high ground, and I absolutely hate it. I wish they'd give more money to recruits. And he's been balling out, so we need someone like that, a stud 5-star that can come in and just turn it on the switch right away and cover either the second best wide receivers because you can put an older guy on the first and just lock him down. And I mean, that's what Derek Stingley did for LSU. They just had him be their lockdown number 2 cornerback and had their number 1 guy cover the number 1 wide receiver, but the number 2 was basically shut down because Derek Stingley's so good. And we haven't had a freshman like that in a while at the cornerback position, or on defense in general, to be honest with you. Speaking of Michigan, they really effed up with Xavier. Yeah, dude is insane. I think he's going to be a Biletnikoff Award winner in the future. Hell, he could do it this year, man. I mean, the guy's probably going to have 1,200 yards as a freshman. Go look at Alabama's wide receiver stats that have come out. Those guys aren't doing that; they're freshmen. This guy's insane. Like Jerry Jeudy, Ruggs, Amari Cooper, even Julio Jones was like the only one that I can think of like his freshman year took off. But even Alabama's wide receivers usually don't get more than 300 to 400 yards, and it's also because they're so stacked at the position they don't have to play. But Xavier Worthy is that dude, and that's like the first guy probably since Roy Williams, who's been, and Limas Sweed. I got to put some respect on Limas' name. Limas was really good here at Texas until his injury, and obviously just had the case of the drops in the NFL. I don't know what happened to him mentally, but that guy was really good too. And obviously Devin Duvernay was good, but he was only good for a year. I'm talking about career-wise. It's probably been Roy Williams and Limas, and Xavier Worthy has set himself up for that type of success. I mean, yeah. I see. I have a different perspective on the game because I never thought we were like people who don't watch this game would think the game's over when you're up by 21. I never thought the game was over. Like we would have been up like by 28 in the third quarter, and then OU just rolls off like 31 straight points, I'd have been like, I would have been on here and I'd just been devastated. And I was angry, but again, I would have been even angrier again if that happened or if we didn't respond. When they go down there and score and go up, what was it, 48-41, we come right back and score and we're up and it's tied 48-48. Or we actually don't score, they punt it, and then we score. So I was impressed by that, and I'm impressed with Casey Thompson. I'm really glad he didn't do anything to his throwing hand because with Hudson Card in there, especially, I like Hudson Card. I don't like him with that offensive line. The man would have been killed because he's not this. He's too indecisive, as we saw versus Arkansas. By the way, that game, 52-51, that's how you know college football's turned a corner when Ole Miss and Arkansas are putting up 103 points, man. I mean, this is an offensive show that college football and the NFL has right now. I like a little bit of defense. I'm sure that game right now, Penn State and Iowa, is more of a defensive slugfest. I like a little middle ground. I'd like to see a game between like a type of game in between this game that we got in the Red River rivalry and the game that's probably going to happen between Penn State and Iowa. Like, I don't like all these wide receivers. Like Oklahoma versus Texas, that first half, a lot of open throws. Now, that was because of great scheming, a lot of it, but it was also just, I mean, bad defense too. I mean, it's a combination of both. I hate that the last couple of years the Big 12's been beaten down because, oh, they're just an offensive league. Like, no, we have really good play callers, and that plays a part of it too. Now, is our defense great? Hell no. But as you see in the SEC now, you get these really good play callers, and you have some issues versus other SEC teams, especially if you're not Alabama, Georgia, who just have an NFL machine running at this point between those two teams.